Live from WTOC, the Southeast News leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Well, happy Monday. Thanks for joining us here for the news on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley, joined with meteorologist Andrew Gordon on this Monday morning. Certainly chilly, very different than Saturday, and it sounds like, Andrew, temps are going to continue to kind of drop this week.
Yeah, they will. So we've got another chance at freezing temperatures as we get into tomorrow morning. And then at the end of the week, we actually have a first alert weather day for Friday. It's going to be very cold, which you could expect for January. Let's take a look at it. It's nothing too crazy, but I'm going to start right with it. No way of sugarcoating it. For our area, this is pretty cold, mid-20s. And then you talk about the wind. It feels like the upper teens briefly there Friday morning. Let's get you to that point. We're going to talk about your forecast for the day. You can see a plane moving on toward the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport there at the ground. Weather's been good for travel here locally. We're at 44. Notice those even at 11 o'clock feeling like the upper 30s at the airport. So a chilly start with some of those high clouds around the region. Finally seeing widespread 40s. It was pretty chilly this morning. We had some 20s for inland areas. It wasn't a hard freeze, but it was expected and pretty cold. The wind right there, that's what's adding into your feels like temperatures popping up on your screen now. Feeling like 35 in Statesboro in Sylvania. Added Jasper County to this. 37 is what it feels like at the airport there. So it's going to start warming up, but it's not going to be a warm day. As we go through the next few hours, temperatures climb up here only to the lower 50s by 1, 2 o'clock with your highs there in the low to mid 50s and maybe a little bit warmer from Baxley further off to the south, but it's still below average for everybody today. Afternoon, we see these temperatures come back down, especially between 5 and 6. Going to cool off there with 40s through the evening. Now, going through the next few days, we'll see those temperatures near freezing on your Tuesday morning, but a better rebound, going up 30 degrees on the afternoon and the lower 60s. So cold morning, not as much wind, maybe a little bit of frost Tuesday, and then we warm up. It's not going to last long. Wednesday is our next chance for moisture, and notice how the low is 40, so this is all, of course, well above freezing. Let's take a look at it. This moisture trying to move in Wednesday morning, some spotty light showers, and this is, I would say, one of the more aggressive models for moisture, and it's just showing light rain, but it's pushing that through as we go through the first part of the day, midday here, early lunchtime into the early afternoon. That crosses over 95, and the rest of the day looks pretty nice as that clears out. But then we jump ahead a day into Friday. Here your forecast feels like temperatures. One of the reasons why it is a first alert weather day for Friday, and this would be at 7 a.m., noted at the top of your screen. Wind chills in the upper teens at times. Looks like inland areas could be in the lower 20s. Statesboro right now could be looking at 21 or so for the low on Friday, but it doesn't last. Temperatures come back above freezing for Savannah this weekend. Right now, we're not seeing any moisture chance line up with freezing temperatures, so we're calling for just a slight chance of moisture, and the European model actually has backed off on moisture a little bit compared to the run that was kind of overnight in the early morning hours. So right now, nothing really concerning for the weekend. Couple of notes here I would say is a brief light freeze tomorrow, early to midday chance of rain on Wednesday, and then we're looking ahead to that cold start to our Friday, and we'll drop that first alert weather day probably about 9 to 10 o'clock when those temperatures get above freezing. So it's not an all-day thing.
Okay, so just get through Friday. Next weekend, looking good.
Yeah, just beyond that, MLK Day, it does look like maybe 31 or 32 for the morning. So for those going to the parade, it was cold last year. It does look cold again. But for me, that's just right out of that 7-day cusp.
Gotcha. And if it is too cold, you could always watch it right here on WTOC, WTOC Plus.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll do a forecast for it.
Sweet. And cool. Andrew, before we sign off, I just wanted to take us out to Hawaii. This is a live look right now at Kilauea, which is erupting right now. I think they said it's potentially their 40th eruption. Wow. I don't know the science behind volcanic eruptions, but it looks really cool. This is one of the bases of the mountain. This is a camera with the U.S. Geological Survey, but you can just really cool right there. You can see some of that lava just flowing and trickling.
It makes me wonder how far away the camera is, because maybe it just has a really good zoom, because it's got to be at least a certain amount away. I mean, this is a relatively normal occurrence out there, like you said. They've already had a few dozen of these eruptions, but it's crazy to see the the magma just flowing. You can see it kind of toward the top middle of your screen, how it's just kind of spewing out that little part. So volcanoes are fascinating. Admittedly, I did have to take a volcanoes and earthquake class. That was about 12 years ago. So I'm not going to pretend to be a geologist because I am not one. But it's normal. Of course, this is how islands form. They expand, they get bigger because of this. It hardens, and there you go. You got new Earth. So it's pretty cool. I know this is a big tourist thing as well.
Yeah, I've been to Big Island. I believe that's where Kilauea is, and I've seen some of the like that volcanic national park that they have there. Really interesting spot, but obviously I've never seen it like that when it was erupting. Just a really cool visual. I wanted to.
It is. Some people watch Yule logs this time of the year. You got a live camera of a volcano to kind of warm you up.
There you go. Sweet. Andrew, thanks for the little mini science lesson. Just something cool I wanted to show you this morning.
It wasn't much. If it's still doing this tomorrow, I'll do my homework.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us here on Plus. Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to continue with our top stories for the day here. We do want to turn now to the Crime Watch this morning. As happening right now, a jury trial is underway for a murder suspect in a deadly 2022 shooting in the city of Savannah. A jury trial began just about 2 hours ago for Michael Sanders in the Chatham County Superior Court. Sanders faces murder and aggravated assault charges in a double shooting that happened on the 500 block of Wynwood Place back in November 2022. 31-year-old Michael Price was killed in that shooting. Another man was also shot but survived. 2 other men are also charged in this case, accused of making false statements to police. And also today, a jury trial begins for a man accused of killing his wife in Savannah 2 years ago. Finian Niprado is accused of killing Rachel Tanerlisky inside her home on East Park Avenue in East Savannah. Records say he strangled her and caused blunt force trauma. He's being charged with felony murder, and he is in the Chatham County Superior Court this morning, so make sure you stick with WTOC for updates on this case. Also today, a man learns his fate after being convicted of murdering the mother of his child in Port Wentworth. Sean Bolden Jr. was convicted last month for malice and felony murder in the shooting death of Deanna Ellison. She was killed just before Mother's Day in 2021 in front of their 5-month-old child. He is in the Chatham County Superior Court right now for a sentencing hearing. The DA's office says the state will be asking for life without the possibility of parole. Make sure you stick with WTOC updates as we learn that outcome. In state news, just 2 hours outside of Savannah, the Georgia Department of Corrections is investigating a possible riot at the Washington State Prison in Washington County, Georgia. The Washington County Sheriff's Office reports 3 inmates were confirmed dead, and about 13 others were taken to the hospital for medical treatment. The Sheriff's Office says several fights broke out early yesterday afternoon, which resulted in those deaths and injuries. The local sheriff also said 1 guard may have been injured in the incident. The Georgia Department of Corrections has gotten the facility under control, and they've conducted a head count. The Sheriff's Office says fights like these are not uncommon.
It's not uncommon for these things to happen in correctional facilities. However, I think this has been it's been quite some time before since we've had to come to an incident this large.
Multiple agencies are investigating the case, including Georgia State Patrol, the Washington County Coroner's Office, local police, and the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. Stick with WTOC for updates. Well, a celebration of life was held yesterday for U.S. Army veteran D'Angelo Shaw. He was a DJ and bouncer at Little Lucky's Bar in Savannah when he was shot and killed. Shaw, who was also known as Aiken, lost his life just outside the bar back in November. Family and friends gathered at the Savannah Harley-Davidson yesterday to ride their motorcycles in his honor in what they called his last ride. More than 60 bikers took part in that celebration, and they ended the ride at a local veteran hotspot to honor their friend and fellow vet.
It was a great feeling to see all the bikers come together and honor my brother and our loved one D'Angelo Shaw. Not the year that he left us, but that dash in the middle, that reputation that he left, that those shoes that nobody could ever fill.
Friends say Shaw was caring, loving, and supportive. Shaw was also a co-founder of the Heroes in the Sky Foundation. That's a group that helps pay tribute and raise awareness for mental health for veterans and first responders. 2 fallen service members, including one from Savannah, now have their sacrifices showcased for everyone to see at 9 Line Apparel. A sign dedication ceremony was held there over the weekend. It was the first ceremony since the store opened 8 years ago in Savannah. The ceremony honored fallen veterans and first responders who passed away in life, service, or taking their own life. One of those honors was Michael Curry, a 13-year veteran of the Savannah Fire Department. Now, each sign has a QR code that features a picture and biography of the fallen service member.
We want people to know that their loved ones are not forgotten. You know, we say a person dies twice, once physically and a second time when we fail to remember them. What we do as an organization, not only my organization, but 9 Line itself, S3 Operations, Savannah Fire, is we keep their memory alive for their family and for America.
Participants say honoring these fallen service members is a small token of their appreciation for what they've done for our communities. Well, today, lawmakers return to the state capitol. Both Republicans and Democrats are expected to focus on issues central to their base ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Niamani Watson is outside the Capitol with more on some of their priorities for this year's legislative session.
Lawmakers plan to discuss and debate property and state income taxes, as well as increasing Georgia's literacy rates, just to name a few. Georgia House Speaker John Burns says his #1 priority is to increase Georgia's literacy rates. He wants to expand testing for dyslexia and place a literacy coach in every Georgia middle school. Lawmakers will also take up bills, including one that would ban cell phones in every high school. Burns says he also wants to bolster the state's healthcare workforce by expanding residencies and opening more training schools. Now, when it comes to taxes, the Senate wants to eliminate Georgia's income tax over several years. Meanwhile, Burns says the House wants to lower property taxes. But there are questions about whether Georgia's budget could absorb the losses of both revenue streams.
We're open to working with any plan that benefits Georgians when it comes to taking care of them, if that's reduction or elimination of the state income tax. But we have to have the details, and it has to work.
A large crowd is also expected here at the Capitol today, made up of organizations, lobbyists, and protesters, hoping to speak with lawmakers as the legislative session reconvenes. Reporting from downtown Atlanta, I'm Niamani Watson, Atlanta News First.
And of course, state reporter Abby Kasoris will have daily stories and updates from our state's capital. You can watch those each evening on WTOC, as well as each morning on WTOC+. Turning now to health news this morning, the U.S. is battling a severe flu season, and health officials aren't even sure if it's peaked. A new and dominant H3N2 flu variant called Subclon K is causing concern. More than 91% of these infections are a new version not included in this year's flu shots. So far, at least 15 million Americans have fallen ill, with 180,000 hospitalized. The Atlanta-based CDC estimates 7,400 deaths, including at least 17 children. And if you're a diligent watcher, you'll know I was out a couple of days last week. I myself got the flu, and I've been sick a handful of times in my life, and I've never had the flu that bad. Just the body aches really got to me, and it's been going around our newsroom as well. So if you are out, in a job or school where you're talking to a lot of people, just make sure you're washing your hands, coughing into your elbow, all those things to keep yourself and your friends and family safe. Turning now to sports news this morning, the rumors are true. Former Atlanta Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan is joining the front office. He'll be the team's president of football, overseeing all aspects of Falcons football for the organization. He'll report directly to Falcons owner Arthur Blank while collaborating with Falcons president and CEO Greg Beadles. The next head coach and general manager will report to Ryan. This marks a return to the organization where he spent 14 years as a player. All right, movie, TV, and streaming stars gathered in Beverly Hills for the 83rd Golden Globe Awards. Bradley Blackburn has more on the big winners and the big moments.
In a star-studded Beverly Hills ballroom, the star of Marty Supreme reigns supreme. Beating out fellow nominees George Clooney and Leonardo DiCaprio, Timothée Chalamet took home Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy.
I'm in a category with many greats. This category is stacked. I look up to all of you. Thank you.
The film, one battle after another, won Best Picture Comedy or Musical, Best Director for Paul Thomas Anderson, and Best Supporting Actress for Tiana Taylor. Hamnet won Best Picture Drama and Best Actress for Jessie Buckley.
Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters.
Golden Globes for Best Song and Best Animated Film went to K-Pop Demon Hunters, while in television, The Pit won Best TV Drama. Star Noah Wiley and creators honored real-life first responders.
Healthcare workers who are the real heroes.
Seth Rogen's The Studio won for Best TV Musical or Comedy, and the award in a new category, Best Podcast, went to a familiar name. Former Globes host Amy Poehler.
I'm big fans of all of you, except for NPR. Just a bunch of celebs phoning it in, so try harder.
Yes, the Golden Globes, without a doubt the most important thing that's happening in the world right now.
Returning host Nikki Glazer roasted the room and the industry and capped it off honoring the late Rob Reiner.
Well, that's our show. This one went to 11.
A nod to Spinal Tap on a big night for Hollywood. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
All right, I've been singing the praises of Hamnet for quite a while now, since I saw it just about a month ago. Glad to see Jessie Buckley, take home the win on that. Great movie. Marty Supreme's another really good one. I'm sure that'll do really well in the Academy Awards coming up. But always happy to do some movie chats. I talked about Hamnet a lot during the 10 o'clock, so I'm not going to do it for the 11, but I'm glad the film won. I recommend it. You just got to be in a headspace where you're ready for something that's a little bit more heavy. And speaking of heavy, check it out. Over the weekend, rock and roll was in the air. The band Kissed took to the stage for their annual show at the Tanger Outlets, sponsored by Horn Law. And WTOC's very own marketing director, Andy, was on bass, channeling his inner Gene Simmons. Andy, I want to see you bring the bass and the is that a mask? I want to see the bass and the mask here at work at some point. Give our studio a little performance. All right. And before we sign off, I want to take you out one more time to Kilauea. I've been watching it on the side of our screen. I've got a second monitor up where I'll pull up some of these live cameras. And even in the last 15 minutes, it's changed dramatically. It's just really interesting from a visual perspective. You can see some of that lava coming out in the top right, top left of your screen. Even just the flows changed recently. This is something we might take a few more live shots on throughout the day during our digital updates at 1 and 2, but just a nice little way to end the show, live look out there in Hawaii. All right, and with that, we are going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC+. Appreciate y'all spending part of your morning with us. We'll be back in just about 40 minutes for the news at noon. And in the meantime, you can always head on over to our website for the latest updates at WTOC.com. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.